Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you back to Kerbal Space Program. We are back on Minmus today, and we're going to conduct a bit more science. We have a lot of fuel on both of our devices that are currently landed here, so I figure it's probably a good time to conduct a little bit of science. For example, here is our space probe, the Mariner prototype that we've landed. It's now nighttime, so unfortunately these solar panels are no longer receiving electricity. Oh, sun exposure here. They are receiving direct sunlight? I am not sure how they're pulling that off, to be quite honest. But no matter. Let's see. Yeah, we're still at the optimal energy here. Um, the idea is to try to launch the satellite because we still have a ton of energy fuel rather for our RCS thrusters. You'll see that we actually have 175 fuel left. So I think it might actually be a cool idea to try to pilot this area to a new biome. I mean, pilot this Mariner prototype to a new biome, and see if we can conduct a little bit more science before this runs out of fuel. Remarkably, we still have energy left here. We still have got electricity, so before sunset actually occurs here, apparently it hasn't yet, I'm gonna try to land us in a new location. Let's see, we are in right now. Let me see where the game believes that we currently are, what biome it claims we are in. If I check our seismometer here... Okay, we're in the lesser flats right now. So what I'm going to do is try to put us into a new biome. Somewhere interesting, somewhere new. The first thing I'm going to do is try to put us back in orbit, and we'll see if we can even do that. So let's see. We've got our lights on, we still have a little bit of energy left. RCS can be activated by holding down the H key, the way I've got it configured. And we're off. So I'm going to put us up in the air a bit. Gonna keep an eye on our monopropellant and slowly aim us. I'm gonna aim it so that we're headed towards the sun. So we're gonna follow the sun so that we can continue to have energy on this craft. We might not even need to go into orbit. Actually, I might be able to park it on a mountain, and that would be good enough. Granted, this might. No, well, we can't... It looks like this is going to take a while, actually. So, what I'm going to do, just for the sake of our own sanity here, is plop us near where we are now. I'm going to put us over, by those mountains over there, so that we're all out of the plains. Oh, hold on. The sun might be gone now. Yep, we are running out of energy. Let's see if we can make it to the mountains before we officially run out. I'm going to do an emergency maneuver and put us over down this way. If we're lucky, we might catch the sun one more time. Oh, here we go. Yeah, we are getting some sun. Look at that. Oh wait, no. What does this count as? Blocked by Minmus. Where's that light source? Well, no matter. Okay, well, let's see. We're down to 156 fuel. We've still got over half of our fuel left, but, I'm going to plop us over on these mountains, and I'm going to try to land us as gently as possible. Okay, so let's aim this way. Still slowly accelerating up. Now, a mountain isn't the most ideal place to try to land this thing. Actually, there's some flat areas over there. I'll try plopping it down this way. Okay, so I'm going to stop thrusting now, because it looks like we've actually put ourselves in a very, very high angle here, which is going to put us over on this ridge, which might be a new biome, but I'm not 100% sure. We can give it a shot and see what happens, actually. It's really hard to tell what these biomes here actually are. I'll give it a shot nonetheless. Oh, I know. I'll put it over on the ridge here. In fact, I'm actually going to give ourselves a little bit more thrust. Aim it right at the horizon, press the H button, and push us a little bit further than that ridge so that we land on the area below the plateau. That looks to me like it would be a new biome. I'm going to keep us in the sun for as long as we can, and then when we land, I'm very quickly going to conduct science. And then this probe might actually have to hibernate until morning. I'm going to quick save. Let's go forward in time a bit. This is actually really dangerous. You shouldn't try to land a craft at night. I realize that this is a terrible idea. Fortunately, we do have our landing lights, which will help. I'm going to turn on RCS and just hit H a couple times, just so that we can ensure that we're not going too fast when we hit the ground. You know, quick save yet again. Yep, this definitely looks like a new biome that we're landing at. It's hard to tell, but I'll try to brighten it up for you on the edited video just to see. I'm definitely going to turn on RCS again and hit H because I feel like we're falling too quickly. Remember to hit RCS, hit the H key to propel ourselves. And I think this is definitely going to be our final landing with this craft. At best, we might be able to put ourselves back in orbit. Okay, so now we're going very slowly now, so with this sort of speed, we should be able to conduct our final landing for the Mariner probe, the Mariner prototype, if you will. Now that we're really close to the ground, I don't want to go any faster than 5 meters per second. I might even venture going even slower. Here it comes, the final descent, the final landing spot, the final resting place of the Mariner probe. Here we go. Nice and steady. Nice and steady. Okay, we're sliding, but we're okay. I'm going to turn off all my thrusters, and we should now be landed. I'm also going to reopen our solar panels, because it's possible we might be able to conduct one more mission with this. I'm going to turn off our RCS real quick, just to make sure that doesn't burn any more, in case we want to do any last little thing. There are only 2 science experiments we can conduct here. We are on the slopes. Okay, so we're on the slopes. That explains our strange landing place. We can transmit from here 20 more science from our thermometer, and our seismometer transmits another 45 science. So that was a really risky adventure, but at the very least, we were able to give ourselves 65 science just by putting ourselves in a slightly different biome. Now, I'm actually really worried. Oh yeah, we are at 0 electricity now, so this craft is not going anywhere until daybreak here on the planet. So what I'm going to do is leave this craft alone and wait for daybreak. Is there anywhere else I feel comfortable putting this thing at all? Not really, no. I'm finished with the prototype Mariner. The Mariner prototype is exactly where I want it to be. I don't want to risk doing anything else to it right now. We might get back to it later to conduct a little bit more science if we need it. But I am going to take a break from Mariner, the Mariner prototype, because that was way too frightening. Instead, let's go over to our manned mission in Minmus. Minmus is actually a great little planet. It's a little frightening, but I have to admit, Minmus by far has been the most rewarding place we have ever visited. Unlike the moon, which is very difficult to launch from, Minmus is like a treasure chest floating around in space. It is a wonderful, wonderful place to earn science early in the game. We join Jebediah Kerbin yet again. Actually, one thing we should do while we're here is I'm going to have Jebediah collect all of our science that we've got here. The idea being that this particular pod might not make it back to Kerbin, and if it doesn't, we want to make sure that we collect everything that we've done so far with our systems. There we go. Observation from mid. Now, the nice thing about the thermometer and barometer and the seismometer is that those are repeatable experiments, so we can take data from them and we won't risk losing anything. And I realize that it's actually a little bit easier to collect data, to travel around here with our jetpack. Material study while high over. Okay. And then once we do this, I'm gonna try to do what we did with the Mariner probe and land at in one more location. Wow, be careful not to jump. I don't think... I know that a Kerbin can take a serious beating in this game. You know what, I'm gonna try to land directly on top of the gook. Wow, okay. This is dangerous. Jetpack is definitely the easiest way to travel here. Can I actually collect... Oh, the seismometer data, can't forget that. There we go. So after, as I was saying, after we're finished here, I am going to conduct one final landing place here in Minmus as well with the with our manned mission, and I'm going to send us to the poles. That's probably, I feel like that wouldn't be, obviously the poles wouldn't be that difficult to find. All we have to do is head straight north, and we should be able to land at the poles. Oh my gosh! I broke the solar panel! I didn't realize that they were that fragile. Well, we should be okay with just one solar panel, one system, but now we need to be especially careful. Oh my gosh. Okay, so let this be a lesson to you. Collect it, collect it, collect it! Dang it! I cannot believe how difficult this is! Okay, there we go. Alright, that should have collected all the data we needed to gather from here. So I'm just gonna get back on board, because frankly, we've messed up enough. Whoa, whoa, careful, careful. I'm making my whole craft shake. Okay, so I'm gonna keep all the experiments on my person and get back on board. Well, actually, can I perform one more EVA while I'm here? Just above the Midlands. Okay, I'm gonna keep that data, and we are going to board the craft. Oh, looks like we already did that one. So we've already stored that experiment. Okay, so I'm just gonna, before we lift off, I'm gonna right-click all of the experiments that I've got so far. Because, I just want to make sure that I didn't forget anything before we take off, because it's very, very possible that we're actually going to abandon this lower stage to get home. Now, we have a pretty solid RCS system, and our load up here on top is much lighter than the Mariner prototype craft. So I believe that even if we lose this part, we can still make it back to where we want to go. So let's see. I'm gonna first throttle up so we can get back up, and I'm going to aim the craft north. In fact, I think we can actually lower our thrust because we don't need to worry about being that specific. In fact, I'm actually going to try to do an orbital maneuver real quick. And 34, 24, 2. Okay, so it's not a very good orbit, but it'll be what we need to do to put ourselves into an orbit, and then we can decide on a proper landing space from there. And from that point on, we might actually lose our lower stage, so we might be able to solidly put it on the surface of the poles, but then after that we're gonna have to land it. I'm gonna quick save real quick, get us close to that marker. We only have to burn for 8 seconds, which is rather fancy. Okay, approaching that marker point. And wait for it. Here we go. Okay, so let's see what that trajectory gave us. Okay, so that put us at an orbit, actually a pretty good orbit. I think that's actually better than what we were dealing with before. So here's what I'm going to do. Now that we have a stable orbit, I am going to really quickly determine where the North Pole of this planet is. Ah, okay, so this is the North Pole. It's actually right at our perihelion, too. And I am going to perform a retrograde maneuver right there. Now, another problem that we are again facing is that we are actually really cutting it close here. But, I think we can pull this off. We'll just have to be careful about our trajectory. Before anything, I'm going to save, put us at about a minute or so prior to that landing spot, and then we'll do the same thing we did before where we landed on the surface. I'll cut to when we managed to get there. And we're going to begin the burn right about now. And I'm going to start by burning and chasing the retrograde marker up to the center of the blue dot. I mean, of the blue sphere of the of our nav ball. Looks like it's working so far. The bridge up above is closing. I'm going to keep my finger near the X button because that'll kill our thrust. Okay, too far, too far. Fine adjustments. Again, I'm only looking at the nav ball right now. But we are just about at an acceptable trajectory. Okay, at this point we should be heading straight down. So I'm going to quick save yet again. I'm going to zoom in on our landing position. That's about right. So now we'll cut to our actual landing. think we're just going to make it. Okay, don't roll, don't roll. We did it! Everyone, we performed a second landing here! We made it! Let's see. We're at the poles! We did it! So, we weren't able to get some Science Junior or some goo experiments here, but we were able to perform a second landing with our system here. We were almost entirely out of fuel, but on the other hand, we should be able to make it back with our RCS thrusters, so... Look at that! It's a little bit greedy for us, mind you, but we did manage to make it, so we're cool. And we still have all of our monopropellant right here in our initial thruster. So let's view our crew report here real quick. No, I'm not going to overwrite that, so let's quick save, quick EVA here. I'm going to do an EVA report just above the poles. Okay, let's store that experiment, take all the data back. I'm going to get back on board, perform a crew report here for the assessment. Okay, now let's get out, let us save, and make sure to grab our experiments. Now, there's only 2 we have to really worry about right now, so we should be good. All I really need to do is just grab our thermometer and barometer experiments, and then we'll get the heck out of here! And return home with a really high amount of science. What the heck am I standing on right now? No, we're at this stage of our lives again. Actually, you know what? I probably could have grabbed this data from the ladder. Although, you know what? This does at least inform us that in order to make this a little bit easier for us, next time we should put our thermometer and our barometer right next to the ladder. That way, if we ever do a mission like this again, we won't have to get off the ladder and maintain control of ourselves. Rather, we won't have to get off so that we can maintain control of ourselves. Okay! And while I'm here, I should also do an EVA on the surface of the planet as well, and collect a sample, because obviously we should. And we should plant a flag, too, to commemorate our occasion. Gives us an additional 40 science. The surface sample gives us another 150 science, and planting the flag gives us no science, but it's fun, so we're gonna do it. Let's see. No, we're gonna call this the Aldrin 1 Polar Landing. Here rests one very faithful lander whose work got us to the next steps. And there we have it! We've done it, everybody! We have successfully completed a huge treasure trove mission here on Minmus, and we still have energy left from the sun, so our solar panels are still operative. When I say here rest, by the way, what that implies is that we are going to leave our lower lunar lander behind and get back specifically on our RCS thrusters. We only have a little bit of thrust left on the lander anyway, like a decimal point amount. And frankly, I think our lander has earned a very, very worthy rest here. So I'm gonna let it eternally rest here on the pole of the planet. So before we go back in, I'm gonna store our experiments and take all of them and get the heck back in there. Alright, everyone. In the next episode, we are going to leave Minmus and go home with a huge amount of science. And if we're still feeling up for it, we might try to do something more with our Mariner probe. I might be able to put it somewhere else, but I'm not really sure where else there is to put it. Well, actually, you know what? No. I'm just going to leave the Mariner probe where it is, too. It's a nice, safe place for it to land. I might actually put it in orbit just for a commemoration and see if we can put our RCS in orbit. So I'm going to do that. But we'll do that in the next episode, everyone. So until then, this is Ardwick of Annette. Stay tuned, and good night.